Thank you for letting me interview you. It's so good to see you. You've become a very good friend of mine lately since I moved here to Winter Park, Florida, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, since we moved here at the same time.
Yeah, that was kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
It's been cool to look over that as we gotten to know each other more through this beautiful avenue of music, which is what I want to get you to talk about today.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So what comes to your mind first when you think of creativity?
It's a pretty open-ended question.
Yeah.
But the thing that comes to mind first was just something that I saw recently, and I don't know where the quote came from, but it's just in regards to creativity and why we as people even feel compelled to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm personally been on my own journey with that recently, just because I've kind of stepped back, actually taken a step back from pursuing it wholeheartedly, at least music and what creativity looked like in the realm of music, for the last decade and a half of my life.
Yeah.
And came here to Orlando to pursue creativity in a different way. I actually am working on starting some businesses with my father, who's a really successful entrepreneur, and I would argue that's a very creative endeavor, probably just as much.
That's great.
But oddly, in a weird way, like the universe and God just like throwing those opportunities right back at me again, though, you know? I mean, taking a step back and from music, and then all of a sudden, you know, you just have these opportunities pouring in, and, you know, I guess that'd just be the way that it is.
It's beautiful how it changes that way. Go ahead. You're about to say something.
But in respect to what came to mind, and I feel like I had to backload that just so you could understand why that came to mind, is like, I saw this, I don't even know what the quote was, but it's like, it really hit me. It was like, why do birds make nests or bees make, you know, hives, you know? And you could argue that they do it because it's in their nature, and it's just something that they do naturally. And I think that the same argument could be made for music. Or not music, but just any creative endeavor that humans do. Like, why do we create things? We create it because it's just in our nature. That's what we do. That's how we serve God. That's how we serve the universe, you know. And we do it to just glorify the world that we live in, and to interpret the world and kind of give it more context to our understanding, because I feel like as creatures, we're always just like on this path to understand, like we want to know. And I feel like the greatest thing that art can do is actually communicate an idea in a way that you hadn't thought about it before or felt about it before.
That's amazing. What a good start to this. I completely agree with you, and I think a book that we've shared recently together is The Artist's Way. Yeah. I think that has opened my mind so much to get to see the world more creative too. Yeah. I think back over my creative journey, like just gaining the courage to start journaling one day and to start like sketching a little, maybe a flower or a sunrise, and think, oh, I shouldn't do that. That's so not me. Yeah. But it took shape and it started to form into this bigger thing. And as you said, like, you have to eventually. It's your way to serve God and to like give back into the world. And I think that's a beautiful take on it.
Yeah. No, yeah. I don't disagree.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't disagree.
That's cool. So when you think back over your music career, you said you've had to take steps back. You've tried to reorient the way you look at it, and it's changed a lot. Yeah. What comes to your mind first over your long career in music? What excites you most over your career, maybe?
I think the excitement really has come with, it's the friends you make along the way sort of thing. I've had just an incredible opportunity to meet some of the most inspiring and creative and just beautifully spirited people in my life. And the more that I've pursued that, the more that I've met those kinds of people. And those are the kinds of experiences that you take with you forever, for the rest of your life. They change you fundamentally. Yeah. So if anything, it's just a massive success, because, you know, I just think we have two natures as humans. We want to explode out into the world, but we also want to be comfortable. And it's really easy to be comfortable, especially with, like, you know, just everything that society is giving us nowadays. That's just like trying to literally almost like trying to like chloroform you and just like put you down.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, like just technology and the assault
sugars,
on our,
different things out there. All that suppression.
oh my gosh, yeah, wow, just the total assault on our humanity, you know. And I think pursuing that, meeting other people who are also pursuing that, really giving you like an eye-opening experience to like just like the value of other people and what other people are capable of, but also just intrinsically, because you can get that by like going online and looking, like you can see what other people are capable of, but what you don't get from going online is what you are capable of and what those people are capable of bringing out of you. And I think so many people like you, just that you're in this culture where you think like, oh, I see this, that's not attainable for me, you know, and then they just don't try. But the reality is that like that people are capable of so much, and in fact everybody is capable of something that's just completely unique to them, and they really can't achieve it unless they make an effort to go do it. So, you know, but I guess that would be the definition of success, is really just like, because sure, I made money here, or I got a platinum record, or I did whatever. I can say all kinds of things, you know, I made some viral songs, and those are all just like, it doesn't matter.
You care about the connection. You care about the new friends and the people that are pouring back into your life the same way you're pouring into theirs.
Yes, exactly.
It's an exchange.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing to hear that, because you're such a humble dude. The first thing I did when I came into your studio was I saw a platinum record on the wall, and I just immediately got imposter syndrome. But, you know, I think it's so cool, and it says so much about you as a person that you care about those relationships more. And it's a very hopeful message in this music industry that people need to hear. Yeah. And that's why I really want to bring you in front of this camera and share that, to get them into that message into my circles, and to spread that message even more. Yeah. Because I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I mean, and honestly, I feel like society is waking up to it. Like more and more, actually, people are, it's kind of funny because it's like Gen Z and Gen Alpha and like these kinds of things that you see popping up. Like, yes, there's like a lot of cultural nihilism, I think, that their culture has, but I think they see each other better than any generation that came before, you know, and I think that the more, in a way, I mean, obviously, like, it's really hard to say, but I do think that there is more compassion, and having more compassion for each other and being able to extend, you know, yourself emotionally and spiritually to other people, it really is a muscle that needs to be flexed. And I think that just the amount of information that people have been getting has just been giving them more and more of a heart for people. I would only hope. I mean, I could see the opposite side of that too. Obviously, like there's, you know, it's a very double-sided coin. But like, yeah, I think that culture is really primed for an awakening in that respect. I think
you can definitely feel it. People are getting a little agitated, a little tired.
Oh yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, I'm very excited about your newest release.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to talk about your latest album?
Sure.
And what it means to you, maybe if it's a shift in the music you've created before or not, and how you would like to speak from the heart on that record.
Yeah. So the record that just came out, it's called Dust and Vines. I did it in collaboration with my buddy Levy, who is a incredible artist. He lives out in Topanga Canyon in California.
It's such a pretty album cover too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was workshopped day of. We just got the camera out. Like my jasmine was blooming in the yard, and we just said, hey, it's a perfect chance. Let's put the guitar in there, you know. But it's a breathwork and meditation album. It is very much a departure from other styles of music that I've done. But I just, you know what? I just kind of do what I want, you know. I just felt like I really wanted to do that. I really wanted to make something that was just instrumentally focused. Yeah. That had like what's the word I'm looking for? It has like a purpose to it, you know, like, you know, it's not just something that's just made or that's supposed to be, you know, representative of an idea or something. But really more like a state of mind, and like just give people something that like, oh, I'm searching for something. Oh, I want to be able to use this for my classes, or I need to be able to relax out in my backyard in the morning and go through some breathwork exercises. But I mean, it kind of evolved organically over time. It's not like I just had this grand idea of making an album about it. I kind of was making some meditation songs, and then Levi came over, and he was just down to participate. He does a lot of facilitation and ceremonies and that. He lives in Topanga Canyon. So,
by design.
Yeah. So he knows a lot about breath work. He's like, maybe I'll add the breath work on this, and like he did some box breathing on Ngoni's Breath, which was the first song we did, and
it's blown up.
That one's done pretty well. Yeah, it it was always kind of doing all right. I mean, just as good as about anything else, and. I guess people more and more people, it just kind of snowballed. It like has this effect, and I feel like, so I mean, immediately after we made that, I had some other tracks, and I got him to play. He makes his own Ngonis by hand, and he's a master at his craft.
I don't know what that is.
So an Ngoni it's an African harp, basically. You play it with 2 hands, and he just gets it in his head that he's gonna do something, and he just does it. It's like his vibe.
That's awesome.
And he just does it really well, like extremely well. So he started making these maybe 3 years ago, and now he just absolutely a plug for Levi's Ngonis. You can buy them from him if you reach out to him on Instagram. I'm sure he'll make one for you. And
that song is about, as that guitar plays, that's its breath. Right, for lack of a better phrasing. I mean, it's pretty simple to understand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not opaque at all. Yeah. It's very transparent.
But the simplicity has attracted a lot of people. I love that.
Yeah, no, I mean it is because it's like I said. I think it's snowballed because it has a function. It's like facilitators use it, and then they have success with it, so they turn it on again, and then people that are in the class are like, "Oh, what's this?" And they,
I calmed down a lot because of this song. You should check it out, and then you just
it's like, and
pass it on to more people.
I think also having the guided aspect of it, of having the breath to breathe along with, did help. Helps a lot. I think people, it has a purpose, right? And so that was it snowballed. It got more popular recently, and I just hit up Levi, and I was like, we have all these tracks started, but we never finished them, and for whatever reason, it's just getting more and more popular and more plays. So why don't we just get the rest of this done and get the album finished?
That's sweet. Well, I loved it. I love listening to it, and it felt my cortisol lower as I breathe through that, and it's just a beautiful experience. I'm excited to get more into that type of music. Yeah. Especially as I'm already getting more into yoga in my personal life. They work really well in tandem. Yeah. So that's great.
Great. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're ever trying to make some meditation music, let me know. I mean, it's fun. It is fun to do. It's not particularly it's just that you just get into a mindset. It's not super heady or complicated or difficult, and even honestly, getting a little bit too fart sniffy is just kind of not going to help you. Yeah. So you just try, keep it simple and keep it poignant, and then just do that. Make a 5 or 6 minute track. You're good to go.
Yeah, because half the art is the person breathing along to it, and you don't just want to do this whole Tame Impala song if it's a breath work. I mean, that's a whole different tangent, but I think simplicity is the beauty of it. People get to feel like they're a part of, in that room with you as you're playing that. I think that's such a beautiful aspect of songs like that. So
yeah.
That's cool.
And maybe it's in a way, it's I had this thought the other day. I was the way that I compose a lot of the time, musically, my go-to is I make stuff that's very programmatic in a sense. Melodies usually are, or at least that's how I grew up writing a lot of music. I would write a lot of, melody heavy, strong, with specific ideas. And it's if you listen to my first record, there's it's very theatrical, and it is a rock, quote unquote rock record, but there's just so much glammy sort of, there's a glam sort of vibe to it that I intrinsically I think there's a lot of value to it, but also I really do try to push myself to try and get outside that realm as well. And with stuff like this, it's more no, I'm just trying to make a vibe. Nothing that's specific, nothing that's going to draw your attention specifically to that thing or feel like we're going from point A to point B. Yeah. We're just going to be, you know? It's just like, I just want to meditate in a moment. And meditating means that there can't be anything that's just like makes you think, oh, that's a flute, or like, oh, that's a thing, you know? It's more just like
nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Calm breath.
I would hope that listening to something like Ngoni's breath is like you actually only hear the breath. And then you only feel your own breath. And then you only meditate on that breath, and that allows you to enter a deep meditative state. But anything that's part of the track that would like draw your attention or be ornate or, you know, froofy is just gonna kind of take away from that. And that's, you know, it's just a process of just exploring different ways of being creative, I think. So
I think to all new musicians, especially me, what I'm taking from that is like have a purpose with what I put out, and to make sure that like some action is encouraged by it. And sometimes it can just be fun music, and that's a total new purpose, but be intentional about it. And I think that is a really nice little seed of advice that people could definitely take from this episode, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Be intentional.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. And I hate to qualify that. I think that there's definitely ways to qualify that. There's ways in which like the prescription to just be intentional with your music would actually totally get in the way of a creative thing, because you can step into a situation and say, you know, and this is something I picked up from just producing over the years as well, like working with artists, great artists, sometimes artists that are just like that are so much more advanced in certain ways than I am, like just technically and, you know, or in whatever way, that like really showed me or just enhanced in their ability to just like, you know, fly, you know. I would have my preconceptions about the way things needed to be done.
Yeah. I
would have my ideas about like, oh, this is how you EQ this thing. This is how you record this thing. This is how you mix this thing. This is how you play this instrument. This is how you write a song.
Rigidly what you were taught.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and not just that. It's just like we have our own ruts that we fall into, things that worked for us. And this is why it's like getting outside the box and actually working with other people really gives you an opportunity to open your mind and free your mind. It's producing, like, one of the best things I ever did was start producing and charging to produce. Because when I started charging money, then for my own self, I was like, well, I'm charging them something. So if they have an idea, like, it's kind of my obligation to pursue that idea with them. I'm like financially obligated to pursue that idea with them. And so it got me out of my own head of cool. Like, you know, it's like, oh, well, I have a responsibility to just like go down this path with this person right now. And so doing that showed me, and then I would do it, and I'd be like, "Wow, this is so much better than I thought it was. This is actually good. Like, I actually enjoy this." And it's like, "Wow, I never would have done that. Like, totally never would have done that if I had just done what I thought I should do."
That's so cool. You're developing a whole new sense of surrender, and that word takes a whole different form.
Yes, I think ultimately it's more about being able to recognize quality, and it's recognizing quality before it's good. Maybe not before it's good, or just seeing something that's good, but like seeing the goodness in it before it has the quality of being like presentable, if that makes sense. You know, like you could write some good words and then sing it badly and then move on from that because you didn't have the right melody, or your tone was bad, or you're being too judgmental on yourself, or whatever. And if you don't have the ability to still look at that and be stubborn and say, oh no, actually, like, that's good, right? And like, I'm gonna support that, I'm gonna do whatever, then you would throw the baby out with the bathwater. You lose everything from that. So it's like, yeah, I think it's worth pursuing. It's worth pursuing ideas.
Yeah.
That you feel are good. You know, even if you think that, oh, they could be better, or this is workable.
Yeah.
And also, in addendum to that, worth sharing it with other people, and like seeking out other creative minds that are able to look at that thing and give you feedback or support you. You know, like to give you a positive, like, oh yeah, no, that's a good idea, or oh, you know, I hear that this way. You know, and then having the humility from your perspective because you knew it was good, but you seek out their advice because you want to be able to understand that like this can be interpreted in many other ways, and before it's a finished idea, somebody else's interpretation might actually be very beneficial to that idea, to help it grow into something that but that gets into like a deeper. I mean, we can go on and on.
That's super sound advice, though, for newcomers to know that it really does matter what people are around you for that phase, and to be intentional about that. Because from my experience, if I show the wrong person the wrong thing and it's squandered and I lose all my confidence, I'm back in my shell, back to square one. But it's so important to know when the right moments are for those things, when to show your little light to someone, and it's a skill to learn, definitely.
Yeah, it's funny because it's kind of like this balance you should seek out. You should seek to be vulnerable. You want to put yourself into vulnerable situations, right? But you also have to have the resilience of standing up for what you feel is good or right. And so I guess, I don't know, my suggestion in that respect would be to seek out the right company. Pay attention to how your ideas are received, to how your interactions with people are. And they don't have to be a creative person even. They could just be a person. Everybody's creative, so that's. But if everything from the person that you're talking to is a correction, and there's no acknowledgement, right? It's just corrections, for instance. That's not going to be a person to take your creative ideas to. Yes, you should be seeking corrections, but if there's not this aspect of this acknowledgement of the goodness or the quality of the thing, or just saying, or even trying to understand where you're coming from. If they're just shutting things down,
with no enthusiasm or way to pour life into you, then it's just toxic.
Yeah. Or it could be enthusiasm. It could be enthusiastically telling you how bad they think it is.
That's true.
That's and it's not helpful either. It's and you shouldn't be seeking those people's approval because that's just not even really. It's just. You also shouldn't just have be surrounded by people that are just going to tell you everything is great too, obviously. But you just got to be careful with the interactions that you have when you're growing that. It's you are, especially with art, it's just such a vulnerable thing. People hold it really close to them. They self-identify with it. So it's sharing it with people is a vulnerable act, right? And I don't think that's not going to be news to anybody, but it's that thing that is vulnerable. If you treat it right and you cultivate it right, it grows from something that's very small into something that's very large and resilient and powerful and has the ability to just have extreme output, right? And so many of the things that you feel like you could do, if only I didn't have all these voices in my head and these outside voices telling me I can't. A lot of it is a psychological game. It's just all constructed. None of that's true, but a lot of it also is truly sweat equity. You really have to put in the time and effort to get good at the things that you want to be good at. Yeah. And you can't have regrets about not having spent time. The best time to start doing something is yesterday. The second best time is today. So
I think that's awesome advice. Yeah. So you truly believe that all people are creative. I heard you say that a couple times. Early on in my singing journey, my vocal coach told me that all people can learn to sing. And that was the first time I heard that little seed of an idea like that. Yeah. And then I started to believe it because I saw my body adapt and learn to sing in that way when I believed I never could in the first place. Yeah. Could you elaborate more on what it means for all people to be creative and how you insist upon that?
Yeah.
Because I think so many people would think, I'm not creative, but that's the whole point. And I would love to hear you talk about yes, you are.
I can tie these two ideas together because everybody can learn to sing. I think that, in fact, actually, because I teach music a lot, and I used to teach it a lot more out in California. And not only can anybody learn to sing, we're all born singing. Like literally born crying. That is what we do. We're like coming out, right, with a song, and using our voice. When I had students in California that would ask me, it's like, oh, you play guitar and bass and drums and piano, and it's like, you sing. It's like, what's your primary instrument, right? Like, what's the main thing that you do? And it's always the voice, 100%, because the voice is the Rosetta Stone. Like, that is the instrument that everybody has. They don't realize it, but they use it all the time. And in fact, you are singing when you're talking, right? Because, I mean, singing is like a more performative way, but people don't realize, like, there's tone, there's like just intonation, there's like volume, there's like things that they're doing, like dynamic control of their voice that they do in conversation to be compelling, right? Pacing, and like all these things that are musical concepts that we use all the time, we don't even really realize it. And then there's this mask of performatism that's like, that, you know, that we put on because we in the Western culture have this concept of like, this myth of the genius or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we're all going to go watch somebody get on stage and like be a master and like show us how it's done, basically. Where it's like you go to West Africa and like everybody's dancing in a circle and singing and playing drums and they're all amazing at it because they all spend all the time doing it. They don't think about it and they don't have this like weird mythos about it, right? So when I talk about it, like learning an instrument too, I'm just like, that's your Rosetta Stone. If you can sing it, you can play it. If you can sing an idea, then you can internalize what you're singing, then you can internalize it in a way to manifest that on the guitar or on the piano or on drums or on any other instrument. So, and that really is, in a way, all of the instruments are just mimicking voices anyway. Mm-hmm. So, I just recommend that. I think everybody should learn to sing. Everybody should learn how to play drums. As like some sort of percussion instrument. Like, as you know, if you're serious about learning music and getting like really good at it and being able to do that, then I would recommend those two things.
And how can it help people that aren't as serious about pursuing music? How could it help just regular Joe Schmo who's moving on with their life and they think they have this preconception that I don't need music, I don't listen to it, it's not my thing?
You know what? If it's not your bag, then don't do it. I'm not going to. I don't think everybody should. I'm not going to prescribe anything that's like that to everybody, you know? I think everybody can. Yeah. And certainly does. They do. They might not realize that they do. Yeah. But like, I think just having a revelation of understanding that it really is more ubiquitous than people think. Mm. And I think creativity, so to answer your question, because I didn't answer your question, creativity is that. I mean, we get up every day. It is the act of manifesting something, right? We have an inherent nature in ourselves that says that plans. We think about what happened. We think about what's going to happen. We think about where we are. And we say, how do we get from here to there with what I had before, you know, kind of giving me, you know, my experiences giving me my perspective that allows for me to make plans to do things. And in a way, it's interesting because that's not always I wouldn't prescribe that. That's like the best state of mind. Obviously, we should be living for the now. But living, I think, in our nature, because we think about the future, we have these plans. You're already, even before you do anything, you're creating. Mm-hmm. You're creating the idea, like the platonic ideal of what your future is going to be. What you're going to step into, you're going to say, oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. You already made something up. So you've created that. I mean, and it's like, I mean, we could break it down. Like, how did you learn how to speak?
I made a lot of noise at first, and then I saw my siblings talking. Yeah. And then at some point, I said mama or dada, and then got applauded for it, and that encouraged me even more.
Okay, good. You got rewarded for experimenting. Yeah. Right? We do that. Like, we just a baby makes noises, gets rewarded for the noises that work, starts making those noises more, starts to string them together. You didn't, and like, it's funny how people think it's like, oh, so you learn music by reading it. or we're learning a foreign language, we're going to go and we're going to learn the grammar of that language before we even start trying to make the sounds. And it's like, the only language you speak, you didn't learn the grammar first, right? You didn't learn the rules first, right? You just did it. You just participated in that thing.
Yeah.
So that's a creative act. That's a creative act. It's just like just jumping in. Just jump into the pool.
I like that. Just jump in.
And people who say they're not creative are just, I think they have a mindset, it's like going back to the concept of like this mythos of the genius, or the baggage that comes along with being creative, because we just like societally just put it on creative people. And that's just not real. And I think people, they fall into, you should go all the way back to the beginning of our conversation about just comfort. I think it's comfortable to say that you're not creative. It's comfortable to say,
I would agree,
that I have, what I have, and I'm in, and just, I'm in my bubble, and that's okay, and I'm not creative, and I'm not shaming anybody for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely not shaming. If that's how you want to live, right? That's totally great. Good for you. I love that for you, right? But understand, right? Because we all choose the mask that we're gonna wear, right? We all put it on, right? That's just a mask. That's just an identity, right? And the identity is not the full breadth of your humanity, right? It's just kind of how you're seeing yourself, you know? But you are very much more creative than you think you are if you think that you're not.
I lived a very normal, buttoned-up, vanilla life for a little bit, and then it ate me alive because I had this whisper of creativity barking at me every day.
Yeah.
I was like, what if I made a song? I mean, I did choir in high school. What if I tried that? And I had to silence it. Yeah. But the more I silenced it, the louder it grew. So it got to a point where I couldn't ignore it anymore, and it exploded into this. And I had to create this channel, and now I'm doing everything I can to be creative.
Yeah.
You talk about the snowball effect, a positive reinforcement of just, I gotta be creative. And I'm creating this channel so that people can get a little bit of that encouragement and hear people like you talk about your creativity and how it's inevitable in that sense. And I think it's contagious.
Yeah.
I like to wrap up each of these interviews by getting the person I'm interviewing to give like a little elevator pitch, to speak from the heart and talk to the people who are listening and say, why should you try for the first time? Why should you be creative? Why should you start? What's one little thing you can do to encourage our listeners?
I think you are capable of so much. You will never know what you are capable of if you don't make an attempt for it. And we're here for whatever reason, living a life, and it's a huge gift to be able to live that life. And I think that I personally feel for myself, and I'm not, I think that anybody that lives like this can experience I wouldn't have experienced very deep joys if I hadn't pursued my life in the way that I have. I must say, I feel obligated to live my life to the fullest that I could possibly live it, and to be the greatest version of myself that I can be. If I didn't pursue creative acts, if I didn't put myself in situations that made me uncomfortable, if I didn't embarrass myself sometimes, if I didn't force myself to do things that are difficult, I would be a diminished version of myself. And I don't wish that identity on anybody. I think that you should be the greatest version of yourself that you could be. That's it.
That's awesome.